Your body starts warning you about diabetes years before a doctor ever says the word. Not with pain, not with a dramatic collapse, with small, easy to dismiss signals, a little more thirst than usual, a cut that heals slower than it used to, blurry vision you blame on tiredness. Right now, over 1 in 3 adults living with prediabetes don't know it, and by the time most people actually get diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, their body has been sending out warning flares for months, sometimes years. Today, we're breaking down 8 of those early signs, including one that shows up on your skin before it ever shows up in a blood test, a sign so subtle most doctors miss it during a routine checkup, and one final sign at the end of this video that almost nobody connects to blood sugar at all, even though it's one of the most common early symptoms there is. Let's get into it. Here's what makes diabetes different from almost every other condition we've covered on this channel. It doesn't attack one organ. It quietly affects your eyes, your nerves, your skin, your energy, and your heart. All at once, all gradually. That's exactly why the early signs feel so disconnected from each other. Your brain doesn't file, "I'm thirstier than usual," in the same folder as, "My feet feel tingly." It treats them as two completely unrelated, minor annoyances. So most people miss the pattern entirely, sometimes for years. And here's a number that surprises most people. It can take up to a decade for type 2 diabetes to be diagnosed after it actually starts developing in the body. A full 10 years of these signals, quietly building before a name gets put to them. That's the real danger. Not that the signs don't exist, but that they're easy to explain away one at a time. Stick around, because sign 4 is the one an ER doctor told us patients almost never connect to blood sugar until it's already caused permanent nerve damage. And stay until the end, because the bonus sign we're covering after the main list is one most people experience for months without ever suspecting it's related to diabetes at all. How this actually works in your body. Before we get into the list, here's the 2-sentence version of what's actually happening, because it makes every sign on this list make instant sense. When you eat, your body breaks food down into glucose, sugar that fuels every cell you have. Insulin is the key that unlocks your cells so that glucose can get in and be used for energy. In type 2 diabetes, your cells slowly stop responding to that key as well as they used to, so glucose builds up in your bloodstream instead of getting where it's supposed to go. That one mechanism, glucose stuck in the blood instead of inside your cells, is the root cause behind every single sign on this list. Once you see that connection, these 8 signs stop looking random and start looking like one coherent story your body is telling you. Let's go through them. Sign 1, constant thirst that water doesn't fix. When there's too much sugar in your blood, your kidneys go into overdrive trying to filter it out. And that process pulls water from every tissue in your body to help flush the excess glucose out through urine. The result is a thirst that feels different from normal thirst. You drink a full glass and 5 minutes later, you're just as thirsty again. Picture this. Someone finishes an entire bottle of water at their desk, refills it, finishes that too, and still feels like their mouth is cotton by lunchtime. That's not just a dry office. That's your kidneys working overtime. This is usually one of the very first signs to show up, which is exactly why it's so easy to explain away with, "It's just hot today," "I had salty food," or "I didn't drink enough yesterday." The difference is persistence. Normal thirst gets solved by water. This kind doesn't. Sign 2, needing to urinate far more than usual. This one is directly connected to sign 1. As your kidneys work to flush out excess glucose, they pull extra water along with it, which means significantly more trips to the bathroom, including multiple times overnight. Here's a detail worth paying attention to. It's not just, "I'm going more during the day." It's specifically waking up 2 to 3 times a night to urinate when that's new for you. Doctors sometimes call this nocturia, and while it has a few possible causes, a new and sudden increase in nighttime bathroom trips, especially paired with the thirst from sign 1, is one of the more reliable early combinations to watch for. Sign 3, fatigue that sleep doesn't solve. Here's the part most people don't know. When your cells can't properly absorb glucose for energy, you can be running high blood sugar and still feel exhausted, because your cells are essentially starving for fuel, even though there's plenty of it circulating in your bloodstream just outside their walls. Think of it like having a fully stocked refrigerator in a locked room you can't get into. The food's right there. You just can't reach it. That's why this specific kind of fatigue doesn't respond to caffeine, doesn't respond to naps, and doesn't respond to a full 8 hours of sleep. People with this sign often describe it the same way. I slept fine, but I still feel like I didn't sleep at all. That mismatch, normal sleep, abnormal exhaustion, is the actual red flag, more than the tiredness itself. Sign 4. Tingling or numbness in your hands and feet. This is the sign we teased in the hook, the one that gets missed the most. According to the doctors we researched for this video, high blood sugar, sustained over time, can damage small nerves, and it typically starts in the extremities furthest from your heart, your fingers and your toes. Early on, it doesn't feel dramatic. It might just feel like your foot fell asleep more often than normal, or a faint pins and needles sensation after sitting for a while. The kind of thing almost everyone assumes is just poor circulation from sitting wrong. Here's why this one matters more than it seems. This kind of nerve damage is called neuropathy, and once it progresses past a certain point, it's often irreversible. The nerve fibers themselves become damaged, not just temporarily asleep, which is exactly why catching it early, while it's still just an occasional forgettable tingle, makes such a meaningful difference in outcome. Sign 5. Blurry vision that comes and goes. High blood sugar can cause fluid to shift in and out of the lens of your eye, temporarily changing its shape and affecting how well it focuses light. Unlike the normal gradual vision decline that happens over years as we age, this kind of blurriness can appear and disappear within days, sometimes even within the same day. That back and forth pattern is actually the important clue. Most people who notice it assume it's screen strain and buy new reading glasses or blame it on being tired. But vision that fluctuates that quickly, sharp one day, blurry the next, is worth mentioning to a doctor specifically because of how unusual that pattern is for normal age-related vision changes. Sign 6. Darkened patches of skin. This is the skin sign we mentioned at the very beginning. It's called acanthosis nigricans. Dark, slightly velvety patches of skin that often show up on the back of the neck, in the armpits, or around the groin. It happens because elevated insulin levels in the blood cause skin cells to multiply faster than normal, creating that darker, thicker texture. What makes this sign genuinely unique on this list is that it's visible. You don't need blood work or a doctor's appointment to notice it. If you or someone you know has noticed a persistent dark patch of skin in one of these areas that wasn't there before, that's worth a conversation with a doctor, even without any other signs present yet. Sign 7. Cuts and bruises that heal slowly. High blood sugar affects circulation and can impair the function of white blood cells, both of which are essential parts of how your body heals a wound. When blood isn't circulating as efficiently and immune cells aren't functioning at full capacity, even small injuries take longer to close up. Here's the benchmark worth remembering. A minor cut or bruise typically fully heals within 1 to 2 weeks. If something small, a paper cut, a kitchen nick, a bruise from bumping into furniture, is still visibly present after 2 or 3 weeks, especially if this is a new pattern for you, that's a detail worth mentioning at your next doctor's visit, particularly in combination with any of the other signs on this list. Sign 8. Unexplained weight loss. This might sound backward. How does a condition linked to too much blood sugar cause weight loss? Here's the mechanism. When your cells can't access the glucose in your blood for energy, your body starts breaking down fat and muscle tissue instead, using them as an alternate fuel source since the sugar in your bloodstream isn't reaching your cells efficiently. Losing a noticeable amount of weight without any change to diet or exercise is one of the more alarming signs on this list, because unlike the others, it usually indicates blood sugar has been elevated for a significant, sustained period of time rather than just recently. If this shows up alongside fatigue, sign 3, and excessive thirst, sign 1, that combination in particular is one doctor's flag as worth checking soon rather than waiting. Bonus sign, the one almost nobody connects to diabetes. Remember the sign we teased at the very start? The one almost nobody connects to blood sugar at all? Here it is. Recurring gum infections or gum disease that won't fully clear up. High blood sugar creates an environment where bacteria thrive more easily in the mouth, and it also slows healing in gum tissue the same way it slows healing everywhere else in the body, which we covered back in sign #7. The result is gums that bleed more easily, feel persistently tender, or develop infections that keep coming back even with good oral hygiene. Dentists are actually sometimes the first professionals to flag early diabetes, specifically because of this connection, and it's a sign patients almost never think to mention to their doctor because it feels like a dental issue, not a blood sugar issue. Here's the pattern worth remembering, now that we've gone through all of them. No single one of these signs on its own means you have diabetes. Being tired doesn't mean anything alone. Neither does one bad night's sleep, one slow healing cut, or one bout of gum sensitivity. But notice how these 9 signs actually cluster into 3 groups. The first group, excessive thirst, frequent urination, and fatigue, tends to show up earliest, and together forms the most common starting combination. The second group, tingling in the extremities, blurry vision, and darkened skin patches, tends to indicate blood sugar has been elevated for a longer stretch of time. And the third group, slow healing wounds, unexplained weight loss, and recurring gum issues, often signals the condition has been present long enough to start affecting how your body repairs and maintains itself. When 2 or 3 signs from the same cluster show up around the same time, that's when it stops being a coincidence and starts being a signal worth acting on. The earlier this gets caught, the more manageable it is. Type 2 diabetes, in particular, is one of the few chronic conditions where early lifestyle changes can meaningfully change the trajectory of the disease, but that window works best before complications like nerve damage or vision changes fully set in. This video is for awareness, not diagnosis. If any of these signs sound familiar, especially 2 or 3 at once, the right next step is a simple blood test with a doctor, not guessing based on a YouTube video. If this helped connect some dots, hit subscribe. We break down early warning signs like this for other conditions every week, right here. And if you've noticed any of these signs yourself, or you knew about one we mentioned today that you'd never connected to blood sugar before, drop a comment below. Seriously, tell us which sign surprised you most. You might help someone else watching recognize the same pattern in themselves. See you in the next one.